Time that we all confess our worst crime. So we're going to finish off tonight doing that. It's going to take a while, but just get in line and just think about what you want to confess, because you know what's in your little dirty conscience. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'd like a large number 3. Here's
Yeah, God is pissed about that.
Oh my God, this is so much fun. No matter how many times I play High Sierra, I always tell them when they book me, please let me do one Troubadour night. Because it's like my favorite thing. It's like we're having a sleepover. In fact, we are. We've locked the doors. So,
that's a real thing in Arkansas.
Oh, man. Life. Man, I'm really happy I get to come back to California and play the Hot Monk in Nevada on July 17th. That's going to be cool. During the pandemic, I was with my dad. Like, what was cool was I was living in Nashville where I live, but my dad was in San Diego, and it was a pandemic, and he was 80. And I go, man, I gotta go see my dad. I'll just move back to San Diego during the pandemic and live at the beach again and go back to my old surf spots and everything in San Diego. So I go there, and every other day I would take my dad out to lunch during the pandemic, and he was living in a assisted living place. And so I'd take him out with 2 other 90-year-old women. My dad was 90. And so I would go with 2 90-year-old women and my dad, and we called it double dates. And we would go out, and I'd take him out for milkshakes or whatever we wanted to do during the pandemic. And it was just like the coolest thing. Every other day, my dad would start ordering these rings, online that were like $3 rings, but he gave them to because my mom had died 2 years earlier, and he gave them to like 80 of the women there. And they would all come up and go, oh, your dad gave me a ring. And then I would go, he gave me one too. And so I was like, went over to Dad lunch and go, Dad, how many rings do you have? He had this bag of all these rings. I got them for only $2.99. And I was thinking, I'm going in with his bills. I was like, jeez. So he's buying them all rings, and I'm going to see him. And we were having the best times, and we're hanging out. And then it was his time to go, and it was during the pandemic. And so he got really sick all of a sudden, but he was healthy, and his mind was sharp. So he goes into the hospital, and he goes, I don't want to get dialysis. I'm ready to go meet your mom. And the doctor goes, well, if you don't get dialysis, you will only have about 5 days left. And my dad goes, I want to go meet Winnie. And that was my mom, Winnie. And so I bring him back home to where he's living, and it's this really cool thing. I got to be with him the last 5 days of his life. And so the hospice nurses are really cool, and they teach you what to do, and then they just check in with you, but they're not there. And so I would sit there with my dad, and it would be like midnight, and I'd give him some morphine, and they had a bed. I'd be like, who left me with all the morphine? He's like, dude, it's this. So I would give it to my dad, and then we'd talk about all this great stuff. And and it was Thanksgiving, and I didn't cook any food, and there was a knock at the door. And I go and answer the door, and it was this friend of mine who's like 6'6", 280 pounds. And he comes in with this turkey dinner from my dad, and my dad was about to cross over, and he actually woke back up. And he looked at the guy with the turkey dinner, and he goes, are you a sumo wrestler? The guy goes, no, I'm your son's friend. So he starts feeding him this food, and my dad wakes up, he was about to die, and he eats a whole turkey dinner. He goes, did you bring any cranberry sauce? So he starts eating those, and he goes, what about pumpkin pie? So he eats that, and then my friend is about to leave, and my dad goes to him, you want to hear some Shakespeare? And then the guy goes, okay, so my dad starts reciting Shakespearean sonnets to him. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps into this petty time. Does one more, and then my dad goes, all right, take care. And so the guy leaves, and then the next morning, my dad was about to die, and I was holding his hands, and it was his last things, and I was looking down at him, I'm holding his hand, and he looks up, and he goes, we sure had some fun, didn't we? And I was just looking at him, and I go, yeah, Dad, we did. I go, if there's anything on the other side, leave me a message. And he goes, what do you want it to be? And I said, Indian Joe, because he had a poem called Indian Joe. And he goes, okay. And then he coughs, and he goes, Bahootensie. And I go, Doug, what's Bahootensie? He goes, I go, you've said it my whole life. You've always said Bahootensie. Before you go, what's it mean? And he goes, I made it up. And he says, it means many blessings. Let's go nuts. So I'm holding his hand, and before he dies, he goes to me, come here, closer. And I put my ear right at his lips, and his final words were, tell that sumo wrestler it wasn't Shakespeare. And I go, what? Like I thought he was going to tell me something about me? He goes, the sumo wrestler, the second poem I did wasn't Shakespeare. I made a mistake. It was Richard Lovelace. It's called To Lacosta. I'm going to the wars. And then I go, he goes, make sure you tell the sumo wrestler. And I'm looking at him, and then he goes, I still got it, Stevie boy. And I'm just sitting there going, tell that sumo wrestler it wasn't fucking Shakespeare. I was looking for a sign for Indian Joe or anything, and there was nothing. And then I woke up at 3 in the morning, and a friend sent me a text, and it was a photo of an old poster of my band, the Rugburns, and we had played a show with Green Day, and the poster said Rugburns and Green Day, and it was at this outdoor amphitheater thing. And then next to it, the guy didn't know, he had pulled it out of a paper. It was from 1996. It was an ad, and it said Indian Joe traveling the world with acoustic guitar. I freaked out. I mean, it was weird. So I sat down and I grabbed my guitar and made up this song. We were all on a conveyor belt in a factory on the wheel of time. Yeah, we don't know when our car clocks out. It was yesterday, we were in our prime. Mic-mac, click-clack, don't even think about looking back. Kodak, soundtrack, I remember when my ma had a heart attack. We were all on a conveyor belt in a factory on the wheel of time. Yeah, we don't know when our car clocks out. It was yesterday, we were in our prime. Tic-tac, tic-tac-toe, hey, I'm still looking for Indian Joe. Where the hell did my dad go? Maybe where the river and the rainbow flow. Yeah, maybe where the river and the rainbow go. Yakety-yak at the top of the tree, my love's got a money-back guarantee. I'm living now in Tennessee, but I still scream Bahootensie. Hey, let's go join the Jubilee. Don't let the time run out on me. My mom and dad have gone to sea. We were all on a conveyor belt in a factory on the wheel of time. Yeah, we don't know when our car clocks out. It was yesterday, we were in our prime. We were all on a conveyor belt in a factory on the wheel of time. Yeah, we don't know when our car clocks out. It was yesterday, we were in our prime. Seems like yesterday we